Your soulmate didn't move on, they paused, and now they're returning. Don't scroll, just stay right here for a moment, because this message is for you and your heart needs this right now. I know something inside you felt a shift the second you read those words, like the universe gently tapping you on the shoulder and saying, listen to this. You've been wondering if you imagined that connection, if you were foolish for holding space for someone who seemed to disappear, but I need you to breathe and stay till the end, because what you're feeling isn't weakness, it's intuition. That pause you experienced wasn't an ending, it was a divine interruption, a sacred gap where both of your souls were being reshaped for what's coming next. Late at night, when the world goes quiet, you've probably felt them without seeing them, like an echo in your chest, and you tried to convince yourself to move on, but your spirit wouldn't let you, because some bonds don't break, they wait. Listen to this carefully, because the universe doesn't send signs without purpose, and lately the signs have been loud. The repeating numbers, 11. 11 when you check the clock without thinking, 222 showing up when you're doubting yourself, 444 appearing when you're trying to feel safe again. Those aren't coincidences, those are reminders that something is aligning behind the scenes. This message is for you, especially if you've been feeling tired of being strong, tired of pretending you're okay, tired of telling yourself that love like that doesn't come back. You weren't abandoned, you were protected. They didn't leave because you weren't enough, they stepped away because the depth of what you shared forced them to confront parts of themselves they had been running from their entire life. Don't scroll past this truth. When two souls meet at the wrong time, the connection can feel overwhelming, almost too intense, and instead of rising to meet it, one often retreats to grow in silence. Your soulmate didn't move on to forget you, they paused to become someone who could finally choose you without fear. Stay with me, because this is where it gets real. While you were healing, learning to love yourself, breaking old cycles, they were doing the same in their own way, even if you couldn't see it. The universe separated you not as punishment, but as preparation. Every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered, every night you asked for clarity instead of comfort, it all mattered. This message is for you if you felt restless lately, like something is about to happen, like a chapter is about to reopen. That's your soul recognizing familiar energy returning into alignment. Listen to this part closely, because the return won't look how you imagined before. It won't be chaos or confusion, it will feel calm, grounded, almost surreal, like meeting someone you've known in another lifetime but with new eyes. They've been thinking about you more than you know, replaying moments, regretting silence, wishing they had spoken sooner, and the universe has been nudging them forward, the same way it nudged you to hear these words. Don't scroll, because timing matters here. If you rush, you interrupt the process. If you doubt, you delay the blessing. You were never meant to chase what was divinely assigned to meet you halfway. This pause taught you boundaries, self-worth, patience, and faith, and now you're standing in a different version of yourself, one who can receive love without losing themselves. That's why the energy feels different now. Your heart needs this reminder right now, what's meant for you doesn't get lost, it gets aligned. The universe has been clearing obstacles, softening hearts, and setting the stage for a return that feels intentional, not accidental. Stay till the end, because this isn't just about romance, it's about awakening. About realizing that love isn't always loud, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it waits, sometimes it grows in the unseen. If you've been dreaming about them, if songs keep reminding you of them, if their name shows up unexpectedly, those are whispers, not memories. This message is for you because your soul is ready, and so is theirs. But here's the cliffhanger, and you need to hear it clearly. The reunion depends on alignment, not desperation. Trust the timing. Trust the process. Trust that the same universe that separated you is now orchestrating the return. Don't scroll away from hope. Stay open, stay grounded, and stay aware, because when they come back, it will feel like confirmation of everything you believed when no one else understood. And if this resonated, if your chest feels tight or warm right now, that's not emotion, that's recognition. Stay till the end of this journey, because the pause is ending, and the story isn't over yet. Don't scroll yet, stay with me, because what you're about to hear connects directly to what your soul has been sensing lately, and this message is for you in a way that goes deeper than logic. You may have noticed your emotions rising and falling without clear reason, moments where you feel strangely calm followed by waves of longing, and you wondered why, after all this time, their energy still finds you. Listen to this carefully. When two souls are bound by divine intention, distance doesn't weaken the connection, it intensifies the lessons. During this pause, something sacred has been happening beneath the surface. While you were learning how to stand alone without closing your heart, they were learning how to love without running. This wasn't accidental, and your heart needs this right now because you've been questioning whether holding on quietly meant you were stuck. You weren't stuck. You were anchored. There's a difference. The universe has been moving pieces into place, removing distractions, clearing false connections, and guiding both of you through parallel awakenings. If you felt pulled towards solitude lately, choosing peace over chaos, depth over noise, that's not you withdrawing from life, that's you aligning with your higher self. Stay till the end, because this alignment is the doorway to what's coming. You might have noticed people from your past fading away, conversations no longer resonating, interests shifting, and that's because you're no longer vibrating at the frequency of temporary connections. Your soulmate feels that shift too. They may not understand it fully yet, but they feel the absence more clearly now because they've grown enough to recognize what was real. Listen to this moment, because this is important. When love is meant to last, it doesn't return with confusion, it returns with clarity. The universe doesn't rush what it protects. That's why the timing felt cruel at first, because growth often does. If you've been seeing signs like feathers, repeating numbers, sudden memories followed by peace instead of pain, those are signals that the lesson phase is closing. This message is for you if you've been wondering whether you should finally let go or keep believing. The truth is, you were never meant to cling, you were meant to trust. And trust doesn't mean doing nothing, it means becoming who you were always meant to be while allowing what's destined to recognize you again. Don't scroll past this part, because your patience is being tested right before it's rewarded. The universe often goes silent right before it speaks loudly. That quiet you felt, that stillness, that sense of waiting without anxiety, that's the calm before alignment. They've been feeling it too, questioning their choices, noticing patterns repeating until they finally understand the lesson they avoided before. Growth has a way of circling back until it's completed. Your heart needs this reminder right now: love that is guided by purpose doesn't expire, it evolves. And when it returns, it doesn't feel like starting over, it feels like continuing from where the soul left off. Stay with this feeling, because the next phase isn't about proving love, it's about embodying it. You won't need to chase words or decode mixed signals anymore. The energy will speak for itself. And here's the part that might surprise you. The return doesn't always happen the way the mind imagines. Sometimes it's a conversation that feels different. Sometimes it's an apology you didn't expect. Sometimes it's simply presence without fear. That's how you'll know it's real. If this message is stirring something deep inside you, that's because recognition is happening. This isn't hope, this is remembrance. Stay till the end of this season, because you didn't wait in vain. The pause taught both of you what love actually requires. And now the universe is gently guiding the next step, not with force, but with certainty. Don't scroll away from this knowing. What's meant for you is moving closer, not louder, not faster, but truer. Don't scroll, stay here with me, because what's unfolding now is the part your soul has been quietly preparing for, even on the days you felt tired, confused, or unsure of yourself, and this message is for you in a way that's meant to settle your spirit. You've reached a moment where the waiting has changed its texture. It no longer feels heavy like before. It feels intentional, almost peaceful, and that's not by accident. Listen to this carefully. When the universe knows you're ready, it stops testing your patience and starts confirming your faith. You may have noticed that you're no longer begging for signs the way you used to. Instead, they're just showing up. Subtle. Gentle. Constant. A number repeating when you least expect it. A dream that feels like a conversation rather than imagination. A sudden warmth in your chest when their energy crosses your mind. Your heart needs this right now, because you're standing at the edge of a shift where clarity replaces confusion. The pause you endured wasn't just about separation, it was about transformation. Both of you had identities to shed, fears to face, and truths to accept before love could return without breaking either of you. Stay till the end, because this is where the deeper meaning reveals itself. While you were learning how to sit with silence without feeling abandoned, they were learning how to sit with themselves without running. That's not coincidence. That's divine mirroring. The universe often separates soulmates so they can meet again as equals, not as wounded versions clinging to each other for survival. And if you felt stronger lately, more grounded, less willing to tolerate what doesn't align, that's proof the lesson worked. Don't scroll away from this realization. The connection didn't weaken during the pause, it matured. It moved from attachment to understanding, from longing to respect. That's why the thought of them now feels different. There's less ache and more knowing. Less desperation and more trust. Listen to this part closely, because it matters. The return you're sensing isn't about reliving the past, it's about rewriting the future with awareness. They're no longer approaching from fear, and you're no longer receiving from lack. That's why the universe slowed everything down. If it had happened sooner, it would have broken under the weight of unhealed patterns. But now, the energy between you is calmer, clearer, and more honest. If you've been feeling called to release old habits, forgive without receiving an apology yet, or choose peace even when it means being alone, those weren't random urges. Those were preparations. This message is for you if you've questioned whether love was supposed to be this hard. The truth is, love isn't hard, growth is. And growth always comes before reunion. Stay with this truth for a moment. Your soulmate has felt the absence in a different way lately. Not as freedom, but as awareness. Awareness of what was real. Awareness of what they avoided. Awareness of what they're ready to protect now. They may not have spoken yet, but internally, the shift has already happened. The universe doesn't need loud actions to confirm alignment, it works quietly, precisely, patiently. Don't scroll, because timing is sacred here. If you rush the outcome, you miss the lesson. If you doubt the process, you delay the reward. Trust doesn't mean waiting helplessly, it means continuing to grow without closing your heart. And you've been doing exactly that, even on the days you didn't realize it. Your heart needs this reminder right now. What's returning to you is responding to who you've become, not who you were. That's why the reunion will feel unfamiliar in the best way. It will feel safe instead of chaotic. Honest instead of confusing. Mutual instead of one-sided. If you've been seeing signs of completion lately, things ending naturally, cycles closing without drama, that's because the universe is clearing space. Space for a connection that no longer needs to hurt to feel deep. Stay till the end of this message, because this next part is crucial. When they return, you won't need to question their intentions. You won't need to guess their feelings. The energy will speak before the words do. You'll feel it in how present they are, how steady, how open. And you'll recognize it not with anxiety, but with calm certainty. That's how you'll know the pause served its purpose. Don't scroll away from this knowing. You didn't wait too long. You didn't believe for nothing. The universe doesn't awaken souls just to leave them unfulfilled. What's aligning now is the result of every moment you chose faith over fear. And even if you can't see the full picture yet, trust this, the pause is ending because both hearts are finally ready to meet without running. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because this is the moment where everything you've been sensing starts to make emotional sense, and this message is for you in a way that feels almost too personal to ignore. You've come farther than you realize. There was a time when the thought of them brought tears, confusion, even self-doubt, but now it brings a quiet ache mixed with peace, and that shift matters. Listen to this. When pain turns into peace, it's a sign the lesson has been integrated. The universe doesn't rush souls who are still bleeding, it waits until the wound becomes wisdom. And you've reached that point. Your heart needs this right now because you've been underestimating how much you've grown during this silence. You learned how to stop asking why and start trusting what. You stopped replaying old conversations and started listening to your intuition. You stopped trying to be chosen and started choosing yourself. That's not small. That's transformation. Stay till the end, because this transformation is exactly why the energy between you is changing now. The pause wasn't meant to keep you apart forever, it was meant to remove the version of both of you that couldn't sustain the love you were meant to share. While you were shedding old fears, they were confronting their own. While you were learning how to sit in stillness without feeling lonely, they were learning how to feel deeply without escaping. This is divine symmetry. And if you've been noticing a sense of completion lately, like certain chapters are quietly closing without drama, that's the universe clearing the path. Listen to this part carefully. Love that's aligned doesn't come back with chaos, it comes back with clarity. It doesn't shake your nervous system, it calms it. That's why lately you've been craving stability over excitement, depth over intensity, truth over fantasy. You're no longer attracted to almost love or potential. You want something real, something grounded, something that doesn't make you question your worth. Don't scroll past this truth, because it explains why nothing else has been able to replace them. It's not because you're stuck, it's because your soul recognizes unfinished alignment. And here's where the universe gets precise. If you've been seeing repeating numbers more frequently, especially during moments of surrender, those are confirmations, not predictions. They're reminders that the process is unfolding exactly as it should. This message is for you if you felt a sudden urge to forgive without needing closure, to release resentment without reopening wounds. That urge didn't come from weakness, it came from readiness. Forgiveness is often the final doorway before reunion. Stay with this feeling, because something important is happening energetically. They're beginning to feel the absence differently now. Not as space, but as loss of alignment. Not as freedom, but as awareness. They've reached a point where distractions no longer work, where surface connections feel empty, where silence forces reflection. And in that reflection, your presence becomes clear. Not as nostalgia, but as truth. Listen to this, because this is where the cliffhanger lives. The universe doesn't always announce returns loudly. Sometimes it prepares both hearts quietly so that when the moment arrives, it feels natural, almost inevitable. You may not see it yet, but the internal shifts are already complete. What remains is timing. And timing isn't punishment, it's protection. Don't scroll, because patience here matters. If you rush what's aligning, you disrupt the harmony that was so carefully built. You've learned how to trust without clinging, how to hope without obsession, how to love without losing yourself. That's why the reunion will feel different. You won't feel the urge to over-explain or over-give. You won't fear being abandoned again. You'll feel steady, secure, present. Your heart needs this reminder right now. What's returning to you is meeting you at your level of growth. This isn't about fixing the past, it's about honoring the future. And when they come back, the conversation won't feel forced. The silence won't feel awkward. The connection won't feel heavy. It will feel familiar in a new way, like something that finally fits. Stay till the end of this season, because this story was never meant to end in separation. The pause was a sacred space, not a goodbye. And even if the final steps haven't unfolded yet, trust that the universe doesn't awaken souls just to leave them unfinished. Everything you endured had purpose. Everything you released created space. And everything that's aligning now is moving with intention. Don't scroll away from this knowing. The calm you feel isn't emptiness. It's readiness. Don't scroll, stay right here with me, because what you're stepping into now is the deepest layer of this message, and your heart needs this right now more than you realize. There is a reason you've made it this far, a reason your attention hasn't drifted, a reason something inside you feels calm yet alert, like your soul knows this is important. Listen to this carefully. The universe only speaks this clearly when a cycle is truly closing and another is preparing to open. You've already done the hardest part, even if no one applauded you for it. You stayed open when it would have been easier to shut down. You chose healing over bitterness. You chose faith over fear on days when you didn't even know why you were still holding on. And that matters. Stay till the end, because this is where everything comes together. The pause you experienced wasn't empty time, it was sacred space. Space where your nervous system learned safety again. Space where your intuition grew louder than your anxiety. Space where you stopped trying to control outcomes and started trusting alignment. That didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, quietly, through moments of surrender you didn't even label as spiritual growth. Your soulmate felt that shift the moment it happened. Even if they couldn't name it, even if they resisted it at first, energy doesn't lie. When one soul heals, the cord between two aligned souls responds. That's why the pull feels different now. Softer. Clearer. Less painful. More certain. Don't scroll past this truth. Love that is meant to return doesn't come back through longing, it comes back through readiness. And you are ready in ways you couldn't have been before. You no longer need them to fill a void, because you learned how to hold yourself. You no longer need reassurance to feel worthy, because you reclaimed your value. That doesn't push love away, it invites the right version of it closer. Listen to this moment. The universe has been testing one thing lately, not your patience, but your trust. That's why answers didn't come when you demanded them, but clarity arrived when you let go. That's why signs appeared when you stopped searching. Angel numbers showing up when you're calm, not desperate. Messages landing when your heart is open, not guarded. This message is for you if you've noticed that you're no longer afraid of being alone, but you still desire connection. That balance is powerful. That balance is magnetic. And your soulmate is responding to that frequency now. They've reached a point where distraction no longer works, where surface-level connections feel hollow, where silence becomes a mirror instead of an escape. And in that mirror, your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did before. Listen to this carefully, because this is the part most people don't understand. When a soulmate pauses, it's not because they stop feeling, it's because they feel too much without the tools to hold it. Growth doesn't always look like progress from the outside. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like confusion. Sometimes it looks like silence. But silence is often where realization is born. Your heart needs this reminder right now, you were never forgotten during this pause. You were being remembered in a deeper way. Remembered not as comfort, but as truth. Not as familiarity, but as home. That's why lately you've felt a sense of inevitability, like whatever is meant to happen will happen without force. That feeling is alignment. Stay with it. Don't scroll, because timing matters more than speed right now. If the universe rushed this reunion, it would reopen old wounds. But by slowing it down, it ensures stability. That's why you've been asked to trust the unseen, to keep living your life, to keep choosing peace. You weren't being distracted, you were being strengthened. And here's the part that may surprise you. When the return begins, it won't feel dramatic. It will feel natural. Almost quiet. Like something slipping back into place rather than crashing back into your life. That's how aligned love arrives. Without anxiety. Without confusion. Without games. You won't feel the need to question their intentions, because consistency will answer for them. You won't feel the urge to shrink or overextend, because you'll feel met. This message is for you if you've been wondering whether you should prepare your heart or protect it. The truth is, you've already done both. You learned discernment. You learned boundaries. You learned how to listen to energy instead of words. Those lessons weren't meant to keep love away, they were meant to keep it healthy. Stay till the end, because this next realization is crucial. The reunion isn't the reward. The growth was. The return is simply the reflection of that growth. You didn't wait for someone who wasn't changing. You waited while the universe changed both of you. And now the connection that returns is no longer built on longing, but on choice. Choice to show up. Choice to stay. Choice to love without running. If you've been feeling a gentle excitement mixed with calm, that's not imagination. That's anticipation without anxiety. That's how you know this isn't karmic, it's aligned. Don't scroll away from this knowing. The universe doesn't bring soulmates back to replay lessons, it brings them back to build something new. And everything you felt leading up to this moment, the signs, the dreams, the inner peace, the quiet confidence, has been preparation. You're not at the beginning. You're at the threshold. And what's crossing toward you now isn't the past version of them. It's someone who finally understands the value of what they paused. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay present. Because love guided by divine timing doesn't need to rush. It arrives exactly when both souls are strong enough to receive it without fear. Don't scroll, stay with me, because this is the moment your soul has been walking toward quietly, patiently, sometimes painfully, and this message is for you in a way that's meant to settle everything that's been restless inside you. Take a breath and listen to this. You didn't come this far just to be teased by hope. You didn't endure silence, confusion, and nights of questioning just to be left unfinished. The universe doesn't work like that. When it separates two souls who are meant to find each other again, it does so with intention, precision, and love far bigger than human understanding. Your heart needs this right now because you're standing at the threshold where faith turns into knowing. Not hope, not wishing, but quiet certainty. You've probably felt it already, that deep calm underneath everything else, the sense that no matter how the details unfold, something meaningful is aligning in your favor. Stay till the end, because this is where the entire story makes sense. The pause you went through reshaped you at the core. You learned how to sit with yourself without running to distractions. You learned how to hear your own intuition instead of drowning it out with fear. You learned that love isn't something you beg for, it's something that meets you when you're whole enough to receive it. And while you were doing that, even on days you felt like you were barely surviving, they were being reshaped too. Growth doesn't always look pretty from the outside. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like mistakes. Sometimes it looks like silence. But silence is often where the loudest realizations are born. Listen to this carefully. They didn't forget you during this pause. They couldn't. Not because of memory, but because of resonance. Souls that are divinely connected leave imprints on each other that time can't erase. That's why, no matter how much distance existed, the pull never completely disappeared. It just went quiet so growth could happen without interference. Don't scroll past this truth. The universe had to remove noise so both of you could hear your own hearts clearly. And now that clarity has arrived. You may have noticed that you're no longer replaying the past with pain. When memories come up now, they feel softer, almost neutral, sometimes even warm. That's not because the connection faded. It's because the wound healed. And healed love is powerful. Healed love doesn't chase. Healed love doesn't cling. Healed love allows. Your soulmate feels that shift, whether consciously or not. They feel the absence not as loss anymore, but as contrast. They understand now what life feels like without that depth, without that mirror, without that grounding presence you brought into their world. And understanding is what changes behavior. Stay with me here, because this matters. The return you're moving toward isn't driven by loneliness or regret alone. It's driven by recognition. Recognition of what was real. Recognition of what mattered. Recognition of what can't be replaced. That's why the universe waited until both of you were strong enough to choose each other freely, not from fear, not from attachment, but from truth. Your heart needs this reminder right now: divine love never traps, it invites. It doesn't demand, it offers. And when both souls are ready to accept that invitation, things begin to move quickly and quietly at the same time. If you've been seeing signs recently, not desperately, but gently, like angel numbers appearing when you're calm, or meaningful dreams that feel peaceful instead of emotional, those are confirmations that alignment has already occurred on a higher level. The physical world just hasn't caught up yet. Don't scroll, because patience here is sacred. The universe always aligns energy before action. And here's something important you need to hear. When the reconnection happens, it won't feel like you're starting over. It will feel like continuing from a deeper place. Conversations will feel easier. Silences will feel safe. You won't feel the need to explain your worth or prove your value. You'll feel seen. And you'll see them too, clearly, without fantasy, without illusion. This message is for you if you've been afraid that things might repeat the old patterns. They won't, because you won't. You're not the same person who was willing to accept confusion in the name of love. You're not the same person who would abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable. And they're not the same person who could walk away without understanding the cost. Growth has changed both of you, and growth changes outcomes. Stay till the end of this message, because this next realization is everything. The pause was not a test of your endurance, it was a lesson in trust. Trusting that what's meant for you doesn't need to be forced. Trusting that absence doesn't always mean loss. Trusting that love guided by something higher than ego will always find its way back when the time is right. You were never meant to sit in limbo forever. You were meant to mature into alignment. And now that alignment is active. That's why life feels different lately, quieter, clearer, more intentional. That's why you're less reactive and more observant. That's why you feel ready without feeling desperate. This isn't coincidence. This is preparation completed. Don't scroll away from this knowing. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not foolish for believing. You were obedient to your intuition when logic told you to shut your heart. And that obedience matters in the language of the universe. What's coming toward you now isn't chaos dressed as passion. It's peace dressed as love. And peace doesn't rush. It arrives steadily, confidently, without needing to convince you of its intentions. If this message is resonating deeply, if something in your chest feels warm or still right now, that's recognition. That's your soul remembering what it already knew before the waiting began. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay present. And when the moment comes, you won't have to question whether it's real. You'll know. And if this spoke to you, let your voice be part of the energy. Comment with what you're feeling, because acknowledgement anchors manifestation. Share this with someone whose heart needs reassurance right now, and subscribe so you don't miss what the universe is unfolding next. And above all, stay till the end of your own journey, because love that pauses with purpose always returns with clarity.